Hi everybody, welcome back to CSGO 101. Today is Chapter 2, Lesson 1, Video Settings. Chapter 2 is all about video settings. Little reminder that if you didn't see the first announcement video that I made, I will be going from Chapter 1, Lesson 1, Chapter 2, Lesson 1, Chapter 3, Lesson 1, all the way down the line, just so we don't go over super basic stuff forever, and it takes, 6 months to get into the real meat of the series. So we're going to be jumping around a lot, probably in somewhat of an order, but again, everything will be put into playlists so it's easy to find. One thing that you'll notice in Counter-Strike compared to other games is that a lot of video settings are always being changed. There's not one set gold standard of, hey, this is how you should play. Same thing kind of goes for Rocket League, just because there's a different ball cam and car camera settings that you can do. The resolutions can change, your color profiles, different third-party softwares to create more saturation or sharpness in your game. There's a lot of different things, and no pros stick to the exact same thing. Some settings help you see through smokes better, some settings let you see through mollies better or grenade smoke. There's a lot of different variability within these settings, and there is no one gold standard. So I do recommend that you find something yourself that you do like, and you go off of that. So now that we're in game, you want to go over to your settings menu, and now you have your video settings. It's the first tab, and then these tabs just go to stuff already inside of this tab. You can scroll down to access these. You don't actually have to click on the tabs themselves. So your overall video settings, this setting is in regards to what shows up in the background here. So let's say that we change it to cobblestone. Now we have cobblestone in the background. I keep it on random just because, I like changing it up. For color mode, I like to keep this on computer monitor. I know that Cold Zera plays on television. So aspect ratio and resolution we will be covering in the next video, actually, just because there is a lot of difference, and how to create custom resolutions. We'll be going over that, not the next video, but the next lesson. Display mode, this is just your basic thing that you have in every game. Full screen makes it full screen. You click out, you tab out, it minimizes it. Windowed is you can minimize the actual window of it. It's probably not going to be 100% full screen. And then full screen windowed, you have to play native resolution, which is 1920 by 1080p, or whatever your native monitor resolution is. And you can tab out of it or click out of it without it minimizing if you have a second monitor. Laptop power saving. You don't need this unless you're playing on a laptop and you are drawing a lot of power. Let's say you're not plugged into an outlet. If you're on a desktop, there's no reason to have this. So advanced video settings. This is where it becomes very volatile, as I was explaining earlier, very variable. So these are my settings, and I will explain what each one does. Global shadow quality is just the quality of a shadow. Now, I like to keep this on high because if there's a player model that casts a shadow, it's much easier to make out when there's a lot more detail on around the edges compared to just one big blob. Model/texture detail. This is for the models in game, so your agents, your CTs, your terrorists. I keep this on high. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Texture streaming. You need this if you're running a low level build on systems with slower disk access. Yeah. This will help you if you're not running it on an SSD. I've always kept this disabled even when I was not running Counter-Strike on an SSD. I don't believe that this is going to impact performance all that much. Effect detail, this is particle effect. I keep this on high. I feel that it helps me see through mollies a little bit better. It's what comes up on top of the mollies, the black smoke, or when you throw an HE grenade, it explodes, that kind of stuff. I keep that on high. Shader detail, this comes into play most with skins. If you have any sort of case hardened skin, that glimmer, that shine, that comes with shader detail. I keep that on very high. I don't really see a decrease in performance with it on very high. And it makes my skins look better, which is always nice. Boost player contrast, you do want this on. This was recently added into the game. This will create a halo around players, a very small halo around the player models. It's not super noticeable, but if you do turn it off, it then becomes noticeable what you've been missing out on. Multi-core rendering, this is for CPUs with multiple cores. just about everybody these days has a CPU with 4 cores. 2 cores are still kind of in play, but that's a very low level build. You probably want this enabled just so you can get the most out of your CPU. Anti-aliasing, this is blending the edges of things so they don't look as sharp. Usually in AAA games like Far Cry or Crysis, where they look really good, or Tomb Raider, you want this on because it does actually help the game look better visually. But the only problem is that it does blend some things long range, and when you're trying to play a precise game like Counter-Strike, sometimes it messes up your aim. So I keep it turned off. Some people keep it turned down to a lower level. As you can see, there are different tiers of it. I keep it all the way off. Same with Fxaa Anti-Aliasing. I just keep that disabled. There is a really nice 3 clicks Philip video where he goes over all of these things. I will link it in the description. He shows very nice visual examples of all the different anti-aliasing. So texture filtering mode, once again, a lot of settings here. This is just how much detail it will give, well, like a wall texture, depending on how close you are to the wall texture. So if you have it all the way up to 16x, the furthest away you can possibly be from a wall, it's still giving you the highest quality texture. Now, I play bilinear, so when I'm further away from a wall, it kind of blends the textures all together in that wall, and it makes it one matte color. There's still some detail in there. It's not just like playing Roblox. The matte texture does help make the player model stand out more, in my opinion. Again, you want to try all these in-game for yourself. Wait for vertical sync. This, if you turn it on, you get a really smooth experience playing, but there is some input lag, and you need a fairly beefy GPU to run this. I'd keep it disabled. Motion blur, you want to disable that. In a competitive shooter like Counter-Strike, you don't need motion blur. It's more for visual effects, you know, just making the game look nicer, and you don't want the game to look nice, all right? You want the game to look very, very easy. And then triple monitor mode, this is just for triple monitors. It restricts the UI and HUD to the primary monitor, so it doesn't stretch all the way to the 3. It's unnecessary if you're just playing on one monitor, or even if you have 3 monitors and the game is only on one monitor, which, I mean, you should play. Hud Edge Positions, this is going to be for your grenades, your health, your radar, all that. Normally, you want this all the way stretched out. I like mine a little bit in, right? I like it a little tighter. I don't have to move my eyes as much off of my crosshair when I want to see something. And yeah, that's it for video settings. Hope you all enjoyed. If you learned something, that's great. If you didn't, I mean, it was fairly basic material. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a good day, and I will see you next time.